Alright, good morning, boys and girls. Welcome to another video with the Carnal Conservative. Now, Muh GDP. Yeah, for those of you who have been paying attention, especially with this Russia-Ukraine debacle, it appears as if the West has gone forth with sanctions, with removing Russia from the SWIFT processing. Multiple debit accounts and MasterCard payments have been denied in Russia as services. And to add insult to injury, the West, the United States, and its allies have decided to put sanctions upon Russia. Meaning that pretty much there is a ban from all Russian exports except gas and agriculture, which is awfully convenient. And I've called this from the start. I've looked at the state and purpose and the ethos of why Putin has gone to war, why he has decided to invade Ukraine, and I've said, well, it's probably going to work out in his favor. Now, I say that as an ideologue. I say that as someone who looks at the ethos and the patterns of what I believe to be good and true, and if a certain party is more true to those factions than the other, then I'm going to automatically, dogmatically give preference to that side of the equation. However, this is played out in reality. Russia, despite being economically punished, is going to come out on the other side just fine and dandy. Now, that's not a popular opinion, understand, but Russia will not be conquered by Muh GDP. In fact, by the looks of it, Russia anticipated and intended for the West to challenge its economic supremacy in the market, because in response to these sanctions, to these limitations, and the noted exemption for energy and agriculture, Vladimir Putin has declared that all payments for pretty much anything coming out of Russia, especially energy and agriculture, now has to be paid in the Russian ruble. You cannot pay for gas, you cannot pay for seeds, you can't pay for grain from Russia or its affiliated states with American dollars, or the yen, or any other, or the euro dollar, or the British pound. None of those currencies will be accepted as payment. And people must buy. Europe in particular. America has a chance to get the Keystone Pipeline back up and be, self-sufficient in that regard. We have enough natural resources to be able to survive without Russia, but that current administration is not throwing that in the cards. They'd rather go to Venezuela and hope for the best. Meanwhile, the Kremlin is pointing and laughing at us. What this ultimately will do, though, however, is it throws into question the idea of whether or not the American dollar will remain as the default currency for international trade. The reserve currency for national trade is the technical term for it, and what that essentially means is that for international trade, the American dollar is what is used for every single transaction. That means that we're capable of taking on innumerable amounts of debt because our dollar is backed by every international transaction. Isn't that grand? Isn't that a lovely little scheme that we put ourselves in? But if Russia says we will not accept any other payment except that which is in the Russian ruble, well, that breaks the hegemony, doesn't it? And it throws out of balance the idea that the American dollar will be able to pay for any good internationally. And if we lose that status as the reserve global currency, it means that we'll be accountable for the debt that we've accumulated and will be unable to back via the assumed trade and circulation that the dollar will have in the future. That's for the lack of a better word, fucking brilliant. And I'm embarrassed that our elites didn't see this happening, because it clearly is, and it's what any smart person would have done. Tell the people who are fucking you over to go fuck themselves and go take your ball and play elsewhere. That's the smart move, and Russia can afford to do it. Now, I learned all of this yesterday listening to the Duran channel. And very surprisingly, I heard it again this morning from Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson is either listening to the Duran or he has far smarter people than who Joe Biden is listening to. Granted, both options are on the table. Now, it turns out that, as I suspected from the first, based on no data, this is pure ideological bias, that Russia is going to be fine. That they will not be defeated by Muh GDP via the traditional channels of the Glomo Homo apparatus. That apparatus is being broken. Putin is taking his ball and going home. And he's going to come out richer for it. He's going to enrich his people. He is going to increase the value of the ruble. It will be more cost effective in Russia than it's ever been because of these sanctions. And I am in awe. I did not see this coming. This was a curveball I did not expect because, well, my elites have been lying to me. And that's where we're at with Russia. The economic portion of warfare against Russia has failed, and it will continue to fail. And all I can say is, once again, God bless. And everyone, stay carnal and God bless yourselves. Bye-bye.